Have you ever wondered why, as a woman, certain shoes might not fit you really well and you struggle to find the right shoe? Well, the dirty little secret in the running shoe industry is that originally most shoes were developed for men and then you just shrunk them for women. However, certain companies are starting to branch out and make shoes that are specifically designed for women. So as a physical therapist, I wanted to talk a little bit about these shoes and give you more information so that you can learn more about them and discover whether they're a good fit for you. Hi there, I'm Dr. Lynne Virant. I'm a physical therapist and running form movement specialist, and I own the movement clinic at Running Wild in Pensacola, Florida. And I want to talk to you today about three specific shoes: the Hettas shoe, the Saysh shoe, and the Run Rabbit shoe. And they were all designed specifically with a woman's foot shape in mind. So I want to talk first about the Hettas shoe. So the Hettas shoe that I got is called the Alma shoe, and it's designed specifically for walking, easy runs, or just like a warm-up shoe. What I like that they do is they give you two different insoles. So if you want more of a snug fit, there's a little bit bigger insole, and then a regular insole for probably closer to your true size. Now what I found for me is I like a little bit roomier toe box, so I actually use the lighter insole, and that tends to work for me. It's actually fairly stiff. There is like a plate technology that helps you a little bit with that rounding motion of your foot as you push off. But I found it to be a little firm for just my taste, but some people may like that. And then based on the other two shoes that they have, this is slightly firm. So the other two shoes will be more of a firmer shoe as you push off. A couple other things about the shoe: it is a neutral shoe. So it's not meant to like control your foot motion at all, so that when you land in the shoe, based on the shoe, you're supposed to just roll forward onto the shoe. Now, if you have some movement issues, that might limit that. However, this shoe is based specifically just for a neutral movement of your foot. So when would I use this shoe? I would use this shoe definitely for walking. I think it would be really comfortable for walking. I would use it for maybe not long runs, but maybe some easier runs would be comfortable. And then if I'm like gonna go for a walk somewhere, I like how they're fairly fashionable. They're really light. What's really neat about the shoe is that the top of the shoe is very sheer. It's almost like see-through material, but makes it really lightweight, which is perfect for Florida summers. So that is the Hettas shoe. Stay tuned for a little bit more feedback from me later on as I use the shoe a little bit more. So the next shoe I want to review is the Saysh shoe. I'm a huge Saysh Felix fan. After she took off from her own company, of course, was I think the most decorated female Olympian in track and field, and of course a mom. So some really amazing things from her as an athlete, but especially as an entrepreneur and as somebody who is trying to make a difference for women in sport. She's actually the only female athlete that raced and owned her own shoe, which is again in the previous Olympics as well. So she has the Felix Runner. One of the big things that stood out for me with this shoe is it looks really fashionable. So I had to look at it again and make sure that I actually ordered the running shoe, because it looks really, really nice, like a shoe that you could just wear out in town. So maybe that's a real benefit for you as a runner. Now this shoe, they only really have one running shoe, and compared to the Hettas shoe, the previous shoe that I reviewed, it's just slightly heavier. So the Hettas is probably the lightest of the three that I'm going to review today. This is probably the next lightest shoe. And even though it looks like a lot of shoe, it's actually really lightweight. Now, I find that there was a little bit more cushion in this shoe, which felt a little bit more comfortable for just like an easy run as well. So I'd probably use this like I would use the Hetta, both for walking or even just like an easy run type of, probably definitely not for a long run, just because I'm not used to it right now. So we'll see how it progresses. It's again a neutral shoe. I don't have the information as far as a drop, but it's probably really similar to like a 10mm drop is the feel that I got from the shoe. Similar to more of a Brooks shoe. In fact, what I found that makes the shoe feel a little bit more stable is it has a wider bottom sole on the shoe, whereas the Hettas feels like a narrower shoe, so it goes straight down from your foot, whereas this one feels like it kind of spreads out from the top of the shoe down, giving you a more stable feel as you walk or run in it. What would this shoe be more appropriate for as far as a condition, as a PT? I feel like, again, somebody that wants a little bit of a cushioning, maybe you have a little bit of joint issues, so you want something that gives a little bit more of a give. This might be a little bit more comfortable than maybe the Hettas shoe, which is a little bit more firm. The thing that I found with all these shoes is there's a guarantee return. So if you use a shoe and it's not what fits for you, they want to make sure that you get the right shoe. So give these a try. These again are the Saysh shoe, Felix Runner, and this is called the Avalanche Runner. The last shoe I'm going to review that's based on a woman's foot is the Rabbit shoe. Now, Rabbit was originally founded by women, so it made sense that they're going to start with a shoe, they're going to start with a women's foot size. So they based the fit of the shoe on a women's foot, which is great to start with. So, and I just learned that, so I think it's really important to point that out, that they started with a women's shoe. It's, again, a neutral shoe, just like the other two shoes that were reviewed. But the biggest difference with this shoe is that it has less of a drop, meaning it's a 5mm drop, which means from the back of the shoe to the front of the shoe, it's only about a 5mm from the front to the back, even though from the stack height, it seems pretty high. But what that means is that if you're going to use a shoe that has less drop, meaning it's a little bit lower to the ground compared to the Hettas or the Saysh, is you want to have good ankle mobility. So if you're just starting out running, you might want a shoe that has a higher drop, because depending on your ankle movement, you might not have that much movement in your foot. If you've been running for a while, or if you know that you're used to using a shoe that's flatter to the ground, then you could start off with a shoe like this. As I said earlier, it is more of a neutral shoe, so that when you roll forward, it's not going to overcorrect your foot at all. It's going to roll with what you naturally move. So if you have some movement issues and you need a little bit more stability or a little bit more control, you might look at a different shoe. Now, Rabbit is proposing that this shoe you can use for your easy runs, you could use for your 5K. Right now, what I find with the shoe, it actually feels like there's a little bit more of some cushion in the shoe, but the key thing with this shoe is there is a little bit of a carbon plate technology in the shoe that's going to help you in the heel with a little bit of that spring forward. Now, that's important to note too, is that if you get that little bit of a spring forward, you need some control in both your ankle and in your knee. So if you have some stability issues, again, this might not be the right shoe for you. What I found for me is that on my left foot, it felt pretty comfortable. And in my right foot, because my foot tends to kind of over-pronate at the, near the arch too much, I felt like a little bit of a jolt in my right knee. Now, that doesn't mean I wouldn't run in it. It just means if I'm going to run in it, I probably wouldn't add speed, and I would just be real cautious about if I'm going to run more of a flat terrain rather than a hilly terrain. But again, another shoe that I definitely want to try out just to get a feel for how the design for a woman is a little bit different than your typical shoe. So that is your Rabbit shoe, Dream Chaser. So those are the three shoes that are based, again, on a woman's foot: the Hettas shoe, the Alma, the Saysh, the Felix Runner in the avalanche color, and then the Dream Chaser by Run Rabbit. So give those three shoes a try, see which one might be a good fit for you. Again, keep in mind what your specific needs are. And then if there's another shoe out there that you want me to review, please let me know. I'd be happy to do that and to give you a perspective both from a runner, a running form movement specialist, and from a physical therapist as well.